A severe ice storm is moving through a large part of the country right now. And when storms like this hit, power outages can last for days, especially when the temperatures stay cold. When this happens, staying prepared isn't just about comfort, it's about safety. Today, I want to talk about the most important things to think about before and when the power goes out. Some of this applies to this storm, but all of it applies to any time we're preparing for a power outage. Hey guys, John here with Backyard Maine. I've been an electrician for over 40 years and I want to help you stay prepared and stay safe. So let's jump right into it. Before we talk about how your generator is connected to your home, let me ask you a question. Will your generator actually run when you need it? There's nothing more frustrating than finding out you have a problem after the power goes out. First up, fuel shutoff and carburetor protection. This is something that a lot of people don't think about, but most fuel contains ethanol, and that fuel can gum up your carburetor over time. When that happens, you're left with a generator that either won't start or it won't run properly when you need it. Here's what I do. After each use, I shut the generator down by turning off the fuel valve and letting it run until it stalls. This clears most of the gas out of the carburetor. Depending on your generator, it can take up to 2 minutes before it stalls. Once it does, then I turn the generator to the off position. If you're storing your generator long term, this step is especially important. I learned this the hard way after having to take my carburetor apart and clean it out after it got gummed up. A quick 60-second step can save you hours of hassle later on. Up next, periodic test runs. This is another important step that many people miss. Generators don't do well sitting idle for long periods of time. Every few months, I get mine out and let it run for 10 or 15 minutes. I also put a load on it, usually powering something in the shop, just to make sure it's actually generating power under load. When it's running, listen to it. Is it running smoothly or are there any strange noises? I once had a generator making a clicking sound. Turned out the spark plug needed replacing. Little sounds can be early warnings. A test run gives you a chance to catch problems before an outage. You should also consider using a fuel stabilizer. If fuel sits too long, it breaks down and becomes unusable. A fuel stabilizer keeps it fresh, even if it sits for months. I use Stable and I've had good luck with it. I'll link it down in the video description, or you can scan the QR code right here on the screen if you want to check it out. I add it to my gas cans according to the instructions, then I fill the generator. That way, every time I refuel, the fuel is already treated. If I know a storm is coming, I usually have a few 5-gallon cans ready to go. A little stabilizer goes a long way. Preparation isn't just about fuel and equipment, it's about having the basics on hand when you need them. Before we move on to more critical generator tips, I want to take a quick second to thank Thrive Market, the sponsor of today's video. When storms hit and the power goes out, the last thing I want to deal with is crowded stores and empty shelves. Well, Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store that delivers high-quality food right to your door, often at better prices than the grocery store. This box showed up at my door just 2 days after the order was placed, and I was really excited to see it. One thing I always like to keep on hand is high-protein, shelf-stable food, and these Chomps beef sticks are perfect. They don't need refrigeration, they're delicious, healthy, and easy to grab when you're busy keeping the house running. What I love about Thrive Market is they take the guesswork out of shopping. They have strict quality standards, remove over 1,000 questionable ingredients, and everything on their site is 100% non-GMO. You can shop by diet or values, which makes it fast to find what fits your household needs. You know, once we find staples we like, The Buy It Again feature makes restocking quick and easy, which is something I really love. Click the link in my description box or go to thrivemarket.com/backyardmaine to get 30% off your first order and a free gift when you join Thrive Market today. Thanks again to Thrive Market for sponsoring this video. Okay, the next tip is really important. Check and change your engine oil. Always check the engine oil before every use. Many people forget this step. Most modern generators will have a low oil cutoff for this very reason. But aside from checking the oil, it also needs to be replaced periodically. Oil lubricates the engine, preventing wear and keeping parts moving smoothly. It will break down and become dirty over time, which can cause damage or premature engine failure if it's not replaced. How often? Well, check your manual. Most will recommend changing the engine oil after 5 hours of operation and then every 20 to 50 hours of use. Only use the oil type recommended for your generator to ensure maximum performance and reliability. Up next is a tip that's almost always overlooked, and it makes a huge difference in how well your generator runs. Check and clean your spark arrestor. The spark arrestor on the exhaust prevents sparks from exiting, which could ignite flammable materials. It also ensures proper exhaust flow and improves efficiency. You may or may not have one on your generator, but if you do, you're going to want to inspect it. They can become plugged with carbon over time, but they're generally very easy to remove and clean with a brush. Even a toothbrush will work. If they get clogged, you'll start having performance issues. So I give mine a quick inspection and clean it if necessary before it becomes an issue. Now that we know our generator is ready to go, let's talk about something that's even more important: running it safely. First up on the list, carbon monoxide safety. Never run a generator inside a building. I'm sure none of us are going to run a generator in our living room, but that also includes basements, garages, crawl spaces, sheds, anywhere even partially enclosed. Carbon monoxide is a deadly, colorless, odorless gas, and by the time you realize you have a problem, it's too late. Even though most of us know better, in the US, over 2,000 people die every year from carbon monoxide poisoning, with dozens of those deaths tied directly to portable generator use. Running a generator near an open door or window is also very dangerous, and many people miss that. Always run your generator outside, well away from doors and windows, and install battery-powered carbon monoxide alarms in your home just to be safe. Another important thing to think about when considering generator location is clearance and exhaust direction. Generators get hot, especially when they've been running for hours. I once saw a generator placed about 2 feet from the house with the exhaust pointing at the siding. It melted a large section of the siding, almost catching the home on fire. It's best to keep generators several feet away from your home or any other combustible material, and always pay attention to which direction the exhaust is pointing. What about wet weather operation? Power outages usually happen during bad weather, and keeping a generator outside while also keeping it dry can be a challenge. Here's a few things I do to stay safe. Keep the generator on high ground and never run it in standing water. Make all the power connections before starting the generator and never connect or disconnect cords under load. When connecting, I first turn off my main breaker and then all the load breakers in the panel. Then I connect the power cord, start the generator, and go back inside and close the generator backfeed breaker. Then I turn on the breakers, supplying backup loads one at a time. When disconnecting the generator, I always open the generator backfeed breaker first. Then I shut the generator down, and then I disconnect the power cord. Having no power at the generator receptacles when connecting or disconnecting is especially important in wet weather. Up next, fueling safety. Never ever add gas to a running generator. Now, this is one I've done myself when I was younger, but I never do it now. Generators get extremely hot and spilled gas can ignite on hot engine parts or from an electrical spark. This is my process. I open the load breakers and the generator backfeed breaker. Shut down the generator and let it cool down for a few minutes. Then I fuel it up with gas, restart the generator, close the generator backfeed breaker, and reconnect the loads. It takes a few extra minutes, but it's well worth it. Let's talk about generator connections, or how that power actually gets into your home. This is where I see a lot of dangerous DIY shortcuts. If you don't already have a generator connection at your home, the easiest, most affordable, code-compliant option is a power inlet box, a backfeed breaker, and an interlock kit. This method gives you the flexibility to choose what loads you want to run during an outage, and it prevents the generator breaker and the main breaker from being on at the same time. That interlock is critical for your safety and for the safety of utility workers. If you don't have the skills or you don't feel comfortable working around electricity, there's no shame in calling a licensed electrician to install the connection for you. I made a complete install video on that setup that I'll link down in the video description. Another challenge that we have during an outage is knowing when utility power has actually been restored. We've all been there, right? Peeking out the window, cycling breakers, going out and checking our meter, and just guessing. There are simple monitoring devices that can notify you the moment utility power is restored. So you're not guessing and you're not running the generator longer than necessary. I installed one of these devices at my home and it works really well. It's called the Power Back Monitor. I'll link that and all my other tool and equipment recommendations down in the video description, or you can scan the QR code right here on the screen. I'll also link the install video for that at the end of this video. There's one more thing I want to mention. During power outages, especially when generators are used, there's a lot of confusion on whether your generator needs a bonded or a floating neutral, and whether or not a ground rod is required. Getting that wrong can damage equipment and create a real safety issue. I'll link that video right here and a few others that'll help you get through your next outage safely. Oh, don't forget to check out Thrive Market, link down in the video description. I'm John from Backyard, Maine. Stay prepared, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.